WrestleMania 28. It is done. It is over with. It is in the history books. And it's time to review it. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the review space. And yes, we are going to be recapping last night's pay-per-view, April 1st, 2012, WrestleMania 28. Alright, let's begin. Alright, we had a pre-show match, or I should say a pre-show event. It was about 30 minutes of pre-WrestleMania, bunch of matches, segments, and the first match of the actual, the pre-show thing was Usos versus Tyson Kidd and Justin Gabriel. It was a tag match, of course, and Epico and Primo for the tag team championship. So it was like 3 tag teams going up against each other. Basically, it was a good match. I thought it was very fast-paced, and not necessarily fast-paced. I actually should correct myself. It was actually a good high-flying type of match, because all these guys are relatively, sort of the high-flyer cruiserweight style, and it was a very good high-spot laced match. A lot of good spots there, a lot of aerial maneuvers. I actually liked the spot where, I think it was, man, who was the guy that did the power bomb? And it was like an avalanche power bomb where one of the guys also did a kind of an avalanche suplex, I guess, from the top rope. But it was just a nice, X Division style spot, and there was a moment where it seemed like the Usos could have won it, but hey, the Epico, Primo, they ended up retaining it. So, not very surprised with that outcome. I think that I was just kind of laughing at how Primo, this is like his, how many WrestleManias hasn't really been a part of, but he opened it. He was in one of the openers, like the dark matches, basically. Although, would this be considered a dark match if it was shown on TV, or if it was aired and taped live? Because they actually aired it, they mentioned it was going to be shown online, basically. Alright, what else we have? We have a Daniel Bryan backstage segment. It was an interview, and he was basically, being his heelish, cocky, arrogant self, and then he made AJ circle around him while she said, yes, 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 with the championship belt. Some kind of like a, cheerleader slash minion type of person. I just thought it was kind of comical. But I should have seen this. This should have been like a foreshadow of what was to come, and we're gonna get into that right now. All right, so WrestleMania begins officially. Lilian Garcia, she sang the American anthem, and I thought it was a really good vocal performance. I mean, I'm not this, expert on singers and the technical aspects of a good singer, but I thought that was probably her best actual singing performance. I've heard her sing before, and this one is probably her best vocal, work. It just seemed like she was hitting all the notes right, and I don't know, I enjoyed it. I actually thought she's a really good singer. Alright, so the first match, the first real match of WrestleMania 28 is the World Championship match. This was the opener again. This can't be good for the prestige of this actual title. And the actual match itself was a bit of a shocker too. Basically, Sheamus squashes Daniel Bryan in a record-breaking 18 seconds. Okay, it was incredibly short. He hits him with a bro kick right before the match could really start. I mean, Daniel Bryan, he gives a little peck, a little kiss to AJ, on when she goes on top of the apron, whatever. They do a little kiss, and then as soon as he turns around, boom, he gets hit with a bro kick from Sheamus. 1, 2, 3. It was a legit shocker. I was laughing. I thought it was a really funny, I was just like, wow, I can't believe that they squashed him that quickly, but I shouldn't be surprised. I mean, everybody knew that Sheamus was going to win. He was the Royal Rumble winner. and he's Vince McMahon's guy, this strong, giant, muscular, character. And Daniel Bryan hasn't really been a good champion. I mean, he's made to look very, very weak. He hasn't had a memorable moment as far as being an actual heel champion who can go inside the ring. I mean, we all know he's a good technical wrestler, but he hasn't had his moment. He hasn't had a convincing win. He hasn't looked like a strong champion. So he gets squashed just like that, and in one way, I think it's very fitting that he lost this way, that he lost in such quick fashion, and the way he was destroyed immediately by a WWE-made character. Here you have an indie technical wrestler in Daniel Bryan, aka Bryan Danielson. He gets turned into this really annoying kind of chicken shit heel, and he's just always running away, or he's winning in these really questionable title defenses. And so he finally gets destroyed by Sheamus. It is what it is. I think this is WWE's way and Vince McMahon's way of saying, F you to the smart mark crowd and to people who think highly of Daniel Bryan as some kind of, technical wizard, technical machine who can go inside the ring, and he's so well loved by everybody in the underground / independent circuit, and he's well known in the internet circles, and this guy is a internet darling, the ROH guy. And that's Vince McMahon's way of putting his star, Sheamus, a guy he discovered, a guy he put over, a very strong, muscular, Irish American. He's not Irish American. I mean, he's an Irish-born guy. This champion, this guy who has a unique look, and I mean, poor Daniel Bryan, man, I felt bad for him. I was like, man, he was in the opener match, he was defending the title, but he gets squashed just like that. Oh man, and the impact of this match was felt in the upcoming matches as the pay-per-view went along. Oh man. Anyway, alright, the second match is Kane against Randy Orton. Alright. Well, this was a match I wasn't really looking forward to. I just thought they kind of threw this all together, even though they try to give it a backstory. I thought it was a decent back and forth match. I mean, it wasn't terrible. I thought it told a story. It was kind of a slow-paced match. One thing to note was, going back to the Daniel Bryan thing, the crowd was definitely chanting, Daniel Bryan, clap, clap, They were chanting Daniel Bryan's name. They really felt, I'm sure they felt bad for him, and it was the smart marks, I'm sure, in the crowd just going, I can't believe they screwed Daniel Bryan that way, the way they treated him. So, yeah, Daniel Bryan chants. Kane, at the end, he chokeslammed Randy Orton via the second rope. So it was kind of like a pseudo-avalanche. Well, I guess it wasn't an avalanche, top rope. Randy was on the top rope. Or was he in the top rope? I can't even remember. I know Kane was on the second rope, and Randy, he was going to go, I guess he was going to try to do some kind of, I don't know, he was on the second rope as well, but he was standing up, so it seemed like it was a lot higher. Anyway, it was a chokeslam, nice-looking chokeslam, and, hey, 1, 2, 3. Kane got the surprise win. Kane beats Randy Orton at WrestleMania 28. Bit of a surprise. I thought Randy was going to win, but man, I don't know if this is like Kane's kind of final, they want to give him a final win or whatever, sort of a moment at WrestleMania. But it was definitely a good win because I thought Kane deserved it, and he has this is one of my favorite versions of Kane. I mean, I really like Kane as this character, this gimmick, this look is this masked Kane is nice to see. I don't know where they're gonna go forward now, you know what I mean? Like, as far as Kane, what's he gonna do in the future? Who is he gonna feud with? Don't know what's gonna happen with Kane, but of course Randy Orton, he's already established character. He's gonna bounce back. Third match, we have Big Show against Cody Rhodes for the Intercontinental Championship. Yeah, Cody has a nice attire. He's got a little, I guess, a blazer hoodie kind of thing. I like it. I like the look. You know, it makes him look like... he actually reminded me of Daniel Bryan's earlier outfit. You know, it was just kind of a cool thing. Now, what happened in this match? They tried to tell a story. I mean, the little guy against the bigger monster, Big Show. As I expected, Big Show hits the WMD, and he gets the pinfall. And that was pretty much it. And you could still hear Daniel Bryan chants in this match, I believe. Yeah, I mean, if Cody had won, I wouldn't be mad. If Big Show won, which he did, I'm not mad either. Yeah, the IC title, I guess it had to go. And Cody can finally move on to the main event, as I've been saying this past few weeks. Alright, so we have a fourth match. This was the Token Divas match. Beth Phoenix and Eve. And they actually look really good. Beth Phoenix has a nice little attire. Eve, you know, her actual outfit was pretty good too. Nice colors. Against Maria Menounos and Kelly Kelly. I don't know who Maria is. And Kelly Kelly, well, we all know her. MM and KK, they actually went over. Kelly Kelly and Maria Menounos. And it was kind of sad because... more Daniel Bryan chants, you know, more Daniel Bryan chants. It just felt very slow-paced. It just didn't feel like a captivating match. I mean, I think aside from when Kelly Kelly did that, it was a... Man, I've seen that move before. I've seen, like, Rey Mysterio do that move, and I think I think a Japanese wrestler does that by the name of, who is that guy? I think his name is, like, Little Dragon, or Dragon Kid. I think that might be a Dragon Kid move, but I'm not sure. But except he does when he does the spinning forward move, like from the top rope, and then he hits it, and he does a Hurricane Rana. But I don't know. I've seen that move before, but anyway, it was a nice move by Kelly Kelly. I thought it was very athletic, and it was just surprising to see her do that. But it was pretty nice to see. Yeah, I mean, that's all I could remember from that match. I remember Maria Menounos. She was just a horrible... She didn't do anything. I heard that maybe she was injured or whatever, but it was just terrible. She didn't do anything inside the ring. She was a complete bore. I mean, this is what people paid for? Like, really? This is supposed to be your WrestleMania, like, pseudo-celebrity appearance, and you have this guest, Maria Menounos. We don't even know her. And she supposedly is, you know, she trained for this, obviously, but she didn't do a single thing, okay? She didn't do any offense. All she did was a little schoolgirl, or, you know, schoolboy roll-up at the end. And she got the pin. And they won. And it was sad. It was just pathetic, you know? Divas matches nowadays is so horrible. I shake my head. This was a complete waste of time. Halfway through this match, I was just wondering, why was I watching this crappy match? I should have just fast-forwarded, okay? It was just garbage. A terrible match. Easily one of the worst matches of the night. Just a waste of time. I mean, aside from Beth Phoenix looking good, and Eve, they look good. They had nice attire on. You know, they looked like WrestleMania outfits, but that was pretty much it. And Kelly Kelly's little move. Alright, match number 5. Undertaker against Triple H. Hell in a Cell guest referee HBK. End of an era match. I thought it was a good back and forth. It started out really slow, though. I mean, it was a very slow-paced match. It was actually very reminiscent of last year. I mean, if you could imagine, remember last year's pace was very similar to this one. It was pretty much identical. And then the match started to pick up. They started to do moves and finishers and, you know, hitting the tombstone and the chokeslam and the pedigree. There was a lot of false finishes, you know, a lot of 1, 2, oh, that was so close. You know, 2.9 counts, you know, that 2.9. And the match, it felt like a continuation from last year. It was almost like if last year it didn't end, and it just sort of continued. Like they picked up from where they left off last year, and then in this match they continued, and then they ended up using weapons, chairs. They used the actual cage a little bit. They used Triple H used his sledgehammer, of course, and Taker just kept getting back up. He just kept getting back up again and again, and Triple H too. It was kind of back and forth, and it was very even for the most part. The HBK thing was, there was a moment where HBK, he ended up doing of course, the super kick to the face of the dead man. The dead man looking like, oh my god, he got hit, and then boom, right into Triple H. Triple H with the pedigree, boom, hits it under Undertaker, and then he pins him. 1, 2, 2.9. Again, the crowd goes nuts. I think that was the highest peak of the actual match. That was the high point where the crowd was really like yelling and into it and yelling and excited. And then I thought it started to decrease a little bit. It hit that peak and then it started to go down a little bit. And they still had false finishes, but you could tell that the story was starting to lean in the favor of Undertaker. I almost said Undertaker was. You could see he was about to win this. There was a moment in that in that match, there was a moment where he was gonna win it for sure. There was just no way Triple H was gonna. He had no chance, basically. And so Taker gets the tombstone. He hits the tombstone finally and trips, and he ends the match, finishes it. Undertaker retains his streak, 20-0. I think pretty much everybody knew this was going to happen. He won this match. There was just, come on. I knew it. You knew it. Of course he wasn't going to lose. You thought Triple H was going to win? You thought that anybody was going to take the streak? No. No, it was all about Undertaker. Of course, this was not going to be surprised if this is his final WrestleMania match, the final moment. And it really is an end of an era. I like the part when the cage actually was elevated, or it was brought up again, and then you could see the bodies just laying in the middle of the ring, Undertaker and Triple H, and HBK just like looking very forlorn and just kind of taking it all in. Like, man, what an emotional experience! What a ride that was. In the ring, they battle, and then now you have this cage being risen up. Is that even proper? Yeah. You could see the fallen warriors in the ring, and it was a nice moment to see. Like, wow, we just witnessed kind of an end of an era. It was really the final thing, and then the three of them ended up heading backstage. As three guys with their hands over each other's shoulders, almost like a pseudo camaraderie thing. Just kind of It was a nice ending. It was a nice kind of final thing. It felt very, what's the word? It felt very, satisfying. It was a satisfying ending. It was a very, there was closure. There was a closure to this feud, to this year-long build-up. Very cool thing. And, the only bad thing I can say was that it was a slow-paced match. It was very slow, and they never really utilized the freaking Hell in a Cell, the cage, to its full extent. They never really used it. What was the point of having the Hell in a Cell in there? I didn't see a reason for it. It could have been gone. It could have been removed. They didn't need a Hell in a Cell cage because they didn't really use it. They haven't really been using the Hell in a Cell in the past few years. It's been such almost an irrelevant thing. Because in this PG era of wrestling, they hardly ever use it. Okay? It's like, you look at the 90s, you look at the classic matches they had in the 90s. Mankind versus Undertaker. Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker. Those classic matches, there was something to that style, but, man. Anyway, let's keep going. Alright, so we have Team Teddy against Team John Laurinaitis. The crowd was mostly spent, as you can expect from this particular match. very forgettable. I mean, nothing. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't, you know. But it did start to pick up a little bit. The crowd got back into it a little bit with Santino. He brought some excitement into it. There was a really good Zack Ryder, Dolph Ziggler exchange, and then the Miz. Miz actually hit the skull crushing finale on Zack Ryder after Eve. She kind of had the pseudo distraction where, I don't know, she did the taunt, that woo woo. When Zack Ryder was about to hit it on the Miz, Eve went in the ring, and then she did the woo, woo, woo thing, and then the referee was like, oh, what are you doing? Get out of here. And so it distracted Zack Ryder, too. And so Miz hit the skull-crushing finale. Boom, 1, 2, 3. Johnny Ace's team wins. John Laurinaitis, boom, that was pretty much it. At the end of it, people were like, oh, man, what I'm saying? Like, what happened? What did, Eve, what's wrong with you? Eve low blows Zack Ryder after the match, and then she walks away proudly, this haughty, or not haughty, this smug expression on her face, like, oh yeah, I just did that, what you gonna do? Johnny Ace is the new general manager of both brands. This was my prediction. I mean, this was my personal, like, oh yeah, I thought this was gonna happen, you know what I mean? Not surprised, but I don't know. I mean, I didn't really care too much for this match. I just thought it was kind of a forgettable thing. Alright, next up we have Chris Jericho against CM Punk for the WWE Championship. Yes, yes, yes. I thought it was a good match. Good counters, submission, storytelling. They did some groundwork. It almost felt kind of like an MMA kind of thing, you know what I mean? It had like an MMA feel to it where Chris Jericho, he hit his the walls of Jericho, Lion Tamer, and then Punk, he retained using the Anaconda Vice, but it was a variation where he kind of leaned on Chris Jericho's head or his neck, and he kind of moved his body, his shoulders forward, so that Chris Jericho wouldn't be able to hit him or encounter with the striking knees. So Punk retained, as I think many people predicted. I predicted that he was going to retain as well, so not a big surprise there. But it was a pretty good match actually, and I think the crowd was satisfied. It felt like a very ROH, indie wrestling, Chris Jericho back to his roots kind of thing, where he does the high flyer maneuvers. It was a really good match. If this match took place in Ring of Honor as a main event, I think people would be satisfied. I think that basically smart mark fans and internet fans are satisfied with this match, along with the general casual fans. It was a really good championship match, and I commend both of these guys. It was a very good match. Alright, we have another segment, the final kind of non-match segment. This was a Brodus Clay dance segment with Mama Clay and the backup dancers. And it was a nice little segment, Brodus Clay doing his thing. It was fun to see Brodus Clay. I almost thought he was going to have a match when he came out against Lord Tensai, a.k.a. A-Train, a.k.a. Giant Bernard. But that wasn't the case. It was actually just a little, it was a way to showcase some fun and some dancing, goodness with the show. I thought it was very entertaining. Okay, now we have the main event, John Cena versus The Rock. First of all, let me just say, the singing performances I could give a shit less for. I really didn't care about it. If they didn't have it, I would be very happy. I thought it sucked, okay? You have this guy, MGK or whatever his name is, Machine Gun Cal. I don't care, okay? I don't care. You have Flo Rida. Sucks, okay? These guys suck. These aren't rappers. These aren't MCs, okay? I could care less about these hacks. These hack wannabe rappers who can't... They're not going to be around 4 years from now, okay? They're not going to be relevant 5 years from now. These are nobodies in the rapping game, in the hip hop industry. These are nobodies, okay? I could give a fuck less about Machine Gun Kelly or Flow Rider. Both of these guys suck. And the crowd ended up booing both of them pretty much. And what's his name? That idiot Puff Daddy? What is Puff Daddy doing in a WrestleMania event? He sucks. He's garbage. What happened? What's the deal with Puff Daddy? This guy should have stayed in the 90s. This fucking hack. This terrible... He's not a good rapper. He sucks. And he made his money off Biggie Smalls, Notorious B.I.G., a legit legend in the rap industry. But he... the Bad Boy label hasn't been hot since Biggie, okay? Since Biggie was alive. Since the 90s. Puff Daddy sucks. MGK, whatever, this fucking hack rapper sucks. And Flow Rider is terrible. They all suck. And they can't rap. You want a good MC. Oh, if they wanted to impress me with a rap performance, they should have had somebody like, you know, Rakim, Immortal Technique. That would have been amazing. Can you imagine Immortal Technique rapping in WrestleMania? That would have been fucking awesome. Imagine him doing like the cause of death and, you know, some fucking crazy ass political fucking rap. You know what I mean? Just doing stuff off the third world. And that would have been amazing right there. But obviously they would never hire or, you know, book somebody like Immortal Technique or Tech 9 or Tech 9 would have been an amazing performance, but they just don't have the fucking gall to include a real rapper, a real MC, somebody who can actually has real talent, is a legit respected MC, and it's just fucking sad. They have to resort to these fucking hacks, these nobodies in the fucking rap industry. But then again, rap fucking sucks now. Okay, so I mean, you gotta understand that I'm a very devout hip-hop head. I fucking love real hip-hop. Especially underground hip-hop, that raw, gritty, grimy shit, that fucking hardcore rap. You know what I mean? Like fucking Cage, you know, early Eminem, fucking DZK, Disc, you know, Immortal Technique, early Swollen Members, DL Incognito, that underground raw fucking style, Wu-Tang Clan. That's my kind of shit. You know, I know my fucking hip-hop. Pharaoh Monch, you know what I mean? That's my shit. You're gonna fuck with me with this bullshit? Alright? Fuck you, okay? I don't give a fuck about your horrible hack rappers. Okay, rant over. Okay, here we go. I'm sorry, I just had to go off. Alright, so John Cena and The Rock, they enter the ring. This was a good back and forth match. They had a lot of false finishes, 2.9s, 2.9s, 2.9s. Everybody hitting their finishing moves. Oh, you know, the attitude adjustment. Bow, 1, 2, oh no! Rock bottom, 1, 2, oh no! People's elbow, 1, 2, oh no! You can't see me, 1, 2, oh no! Haha! There was a lot of imitation, you know, a lot of taunts, you know, The Rock doing the you can't see me taunt, John Cena trying to do the people's elbow. But ladies and gentlemen, as John Cena tried to steal the people's elbow, The Rock counters, gets up from the middle of the ring, rock bottom, rock bottom. Oh my God! 1, 2, 3, the winner, The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson wins in front of his hometown, the Miami crowd going crazy, yeah! The Rock wins WrestleMania 28, beats John Cena, and solidifies himself as the great one, the greatest one, the man to defeat Stone Cold Hulk Hogan. And John Cena is The Rock, the greatest wrestler of all time. He's definitely a legend, and this was his moment. What a great win. And legitimately, I was shocked. The review space shocked. My mouth open like, wow, and I just couldn't help but laugh. I genuinely laughed. I was just like, you know, I was happy. I was happy that it was a win for The Rock. It was a win for the Attitude Era. I felt happy that he won because it was just nice to see John Cena, you know, not get the win and sort of allow The Rock get his moment, and it was just fun. It was a fun match. Hey, props to John Cena for, you know, stepping down and actually letting The Rock have his moment. The Rock going over, a legend amongst, you know, the Attitude Era stars, and this guy's a legit legend. This guy is one of the guys who helped build the Attitude Era. My favorite wrestler from the 90s. This guy was, I used to imitate The Rock all the time as a kid, and it was just awesome to see The Rock get a win. You know, I could have done without the beard. I could have done without the... There was still a... You know, he looked good, you know, he was definitely... I could have done without the stupid Cena chants. Like, I honestly... There were some people that were booing The Rock, and I just felt like, oh, you idiot. You know, there was people in the crowd in the front row, whatever, like... You know, when The Rock would do something, people would actually chant, oh, say more shit, as if they, you know, the chant that would usually go to John Cena, as if The Rock was such a horrible, you know, hack or whatever. Like, get the fuck out of here. The Rock is a legend. He's one of the best wrestlers of all time, so give this guy some fucking respect, please. I mean, when I see these idiots, these haters of The Rock, like, get the fuck out of my face. The Rock fucking owns you, okay? The Rock owns Cena as far as an overall wrestler, okay? You have no... If you were never there in 1999 watching The Rock, this fucking awesome wrestler, then you're a fucking idiot. And you're talking shit about The Rock. Get the fuck out of my face, okay? Don't fucking talk shit about The Rock as if you were there. You were never there, okay? It pisses me off when some fucking retard who never grew up on The Rock talks shit about him. Okay, you weren't there. He was awesome. He was the best wrestler in the world. He was so charismatic. Okay, you had to be there. It's like when people talk about Hulk Hogan in the 80s or Ric Flair in the 80s, like, you had to be there. I don't give a fuck. You had to be there to appreciate The Rock's work. Okay? You had to be in that atmosphere. You had to be a kid, a 13, 12-year-old kid living in the 90s, in the late 90s, 1999, Attitude Era. Wrestling was fucking awesome because of The Rock back then, okay? Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock, okay? So don't give me that booing bullshit where you boo The Rock, boo Rock, he sucks, fuck you. Anyway, can't get too mad, but, you know, just, I thought it was a really good match, again. So here are the best matches of the night. Alright, John Cena against The Rock. Triple H against Undertaker, Chris Jericho against CM Punk, and the opener, not the opener, but the dark match tag team, Epico, Primo, and the Usos, and Justin Gabriel and Tyson Kidd. That was a really good match. As a matter of fact, prior to the Undertaker Triple H match, that was the best match of the night. I was just like, oh man, like, ugh. Every other match has been like pretty like, ugh, so-so, but. So those are the best matches of the night. I thought overall it was a pretty good pay-per-view. You know, pretty good. You know, I still say that some of TNA's matches, like Austin Aries and the Abyss versus Bully Ray of TNA, you know, the early TNA matches, they were pretty good too. So, I mean, you know, WrestleMania was pretty good. I mean, I thought it was. There's definitely some stuff that I could have done without. The Divas match was just fucking garbage. You know what I'm saying? The Team Johnny Laurinaitis match, it felt like a very non-pay-per-view match. It was like a normal, regular, Raw type of match. Like, fuck this. You know, but the Kane thing, you know, that was alright. The Big Show, Cody Rhodes, you know, whatever. Still, The Rock goes over John Cena, so I'm happy. That's it for this review. You know, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Definitely going to tune in for the Fallout and what happens as the year goes on, and you know what happens tonight on Raw. So go check it out. All right, go check out Raw and let me know what y'all thought of the particular pay-per-view. And that's it for this episode of the Review Space. So until next time, ciao.